All right, today, so we're going to go back to the old school type of videos that we used to put out. And we're going to talk about, how you can use your mind to effectively achieve anything that you want or desire. With that being said, we're here to talk about business and obviously mindset. And today, I want to talk about how you can use your mind to absolutely achieve anything you want. And I'm going to use a real life case study myself for this example for today's video. And I'm going to lay out a blueprint, so a very clear action plan that you can follow step by step. And you can also watch in terms of what I'm doing and how we're going to grow this channel from, I think we're at a few hundred subscribers to 500 by the end of the month, which will be the 31st of October. And we are on the 8th today? The 6th. So in just a little over 20 days. So let's begin. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to define a definitive purpose. So in my case, we're talking about growing a YouTube channel, and we're not just doing it for fun. There has to be purpose behind it as well. It has to be meaningful, and it makes no sense to invest a lot of time in just recording videos for the sake of it. So in my example, if you're looking to start growing a YouTube channel, if you're just looking to get started, think about the points that you want to talk about, think about your audience, think about what's your why, and ultimately you have to be authentic to yourself. It's not going to work if you start to copycat other people that you've seen online. By all means, you can take inspiration, but imitation is a no-go, and people can see that straight away. Obviously, for us, we're going to be talking about business, mindset, finance. We'll even talk about relationships and how it all ties in together, and how you can take my learnings and develop yourself into a better person. So I'll give you some examples then. So define what your objective is. So start with that first. You don't need to rush this. You need to think long and hard, because like with anything, it's an investment, isn't it? It's an investment of your time. And it doesn't make sense to expect quick fixes and quick results. Even like the best investments in financial services, they pay dividends over the long term. And you have to have that same approach when creating content. Think about, again, your audience, your style, your production setup. Make a game plan and make sure it's solid. That way, the people who tune into your content know exactly what to expect. They'll get value from it. They'll stay tuned. They'll see it through. They'll subscribe. They'll interact. They'll comment. And guess what? As your channel grows, that's more of an incentive for you to then continue doing what you're doing, and obviously enhance your operations, invest in, like videographers, equipment, better production, and bringing on bigger guests, and broaden your topics. Quick action point then, as an example, break things down to a micro level. And again, you've got to be realistic. Of course, you've got to be ambitious, but there's a thin line, isn't there, in between being delusional and being realistic. So for me, my first milestone will be to hit 500 subscribers, and we'll do that at the end of this month, no doubt. As I said, we've got a bit of a head start. We've been messing around over the past several months, just in the YouTube space, just to get a feel for what it's all about. But yeah, we're pushing forward now, and our first milestone will be 500 subscribers. So mark my words, 31st of October, we would absolutely smash that. And same for yourself as well. If you're creating a video channel, think about increments, whether that's weekly, monthly, and set yourself a goal, okay? And then think, right, what's realistic? So I'm sure you've heard of the SMART objective, but break it down. So if we're talking about, in my case, we want to reach our first milestone of 500 subscribers, we're going to have to create content daily. We're talking 1 to 2 pieces, and they have to be quality in terms of the production to keep people engaged. And also, you've got to keep your ear to the streets in the sense of what's trending, what's currently a talking point, but also what's within your niche. and where you can take topics from recent activities to help grow your channel. Ultimately, controversy does sell. So whatever your views are, whether it be political, economical, across the spectrum, you do need to have a voice, you need to have an opinion. And for people to respect that, you need to be like well researched and well qualified to talk about these topics. So you need to be an expert in your field. So there's no point talking about chemistry, for example, if you don't know anything about that. So think about what you're an expert in, or what you're passionate about, or views that you have that other people can resonate to, and focus on that. Think about like your titles as well for YouTube. I know you come across a lot of clickbait titles and we all fall for them, but ultimately think about how you can extract maybe a sentence, or like a way to capture or summarize the topic, maybe even a key point that's been discussed. So in this case, we're talking about how to grow a YouTube account in less than 30 days to hit your 500 subscriber mark. And people will have an interest in that, because people having these challenges, they don't know where to look. The challenge with YouTube and online in general, there's so much like information out there. It's hard to filter it down and find a reliable source that you can actually follow, buy into, believe in, and obviously follow the steps as well. Think about thumbnails. So I know it's a trend on YouTube to have like these weird faces on a thumbnail, but if that's you, go for it. But for me, I like to keep things clean, professional. It just speaks my personality and my brand identity. So think about what that looks like for yourself, and then obviously implement that as well. But consistency is key. Next, you have to review your KPIs and your performance. So you need to look at your analytics daily. So videos that are getting the most comments, the most views, the most likes, what type of engagement you're having across different topics. And then once you can test the market, you can get an idea of, right, okay, this is what people want to hear. This is what people talk about in the comments. And this is how I can build in that regard as well. It's not easy talking to a camera. It's quite alien. I don't enjoy it. I'm more of an in-person guy. I like that human connection. I like to, feel the energy in the air. So it is a case of practice, like with anything. But again, in 30 days, I can guarantee you, if you're putting out a video, which you've done your planning, your preparation, I can absolutely guarantee you that if you will look at video 1 to video 15 to video 30, you absolutely will see an improvement, and you'll come across a lot more natural, which is relatable. The last thing you want is a robotic tone. No one's going to buy into that, and people get switched off, people get disengaged. You also need to have confidence in your abilities, and that will only come through practice. And also the first point as well, talking about things you actually know about, because people can see straight through that, and there's no hiding, especially when you're in sight. So bear that in mind as well. A lot of the time, a lot of people have like desires, dreams, aspirations, but they won't pursue that. And that's because they have, what is it called? Imposter syndrome, when they don't feel like they're good enough, and they feel like they might look silly. They might, people might make fun of them. And you've got to like block out the noise, and you've got to just really stay true to what your goals are. I know we're talking about YouTube and, creating channels for this video, but this applies to anything in life, whether it be like business, if you want to start a new project. There'll be a lot more naysayers than supporters. That's just the way of the world. Even with family members, for example, sometimes they don't want to see you get hurt or see you fail. So sometimes you might find yourself in an environment where your peers, family members, people close to you will say, look, you can't do that. We don't think that's a good idea. And the flip side of that, you'll get friends as well, even family members who would be envious that you're doing something that they would love to do, but they can't. So block out the noise. Make sure you're around people that support your vision and that can help push you forward. It's all about positive energy. And then you need to start programming your mind. And I guess this is called affirmations, isn't it? You need to really believe in what it is you're doing. So if you've got that confidence and that belief, obviously you need to back that up with, receipts and content and knowing your topics. But that absolutely will help completely in that regard. And again, it's consistency, isn't it? So if you work on this daily, then of course you're going to have the results. Consistency is key. Consistency builds confidence as well. And as you start creating more, you can review your content, look at what went well, look at how your speech, your delivery, your communication style is. Because again, this is alien, this is weird. Talking to a camera, it's odd. It's not natural. But again, practice and consistency, self-belief will absolutely help you achieve that. I think about like your avatar, your persona. Think about who you are as a person. You want to amplify, but you don't want to go too much off the rails, because at the end of the day, the mask will fall off. You need to be consistent to who you are, because people can notice that, and people can see fake people, and people can see straight through that as well. So establish like these action points. Think about who you are. Think about your communication style, how you can improve that every time. Use like simple English. Make sure that you're engaging as well. You're not talking monotone. Sometimes people put fancy like video clips, animations, and that's more of a dopamine fix. It gets you in by different sort of stimulation, but really good communicators can get you with just their choice of words and how they say it. So that's what you should always strive to do. But again, if your audience and your segment is based around like visuals, or if you're doing like educational content, then by all means, you can use that. And then again, think about, how you're going to attract that audience. Think about the topics you're going to talk about, and ultimately think, what's your why? If your end goal is to grow your channel, and if you want to have 1 million views in a year's time or 1 million subscribers, you have to talk about topics that are popular, that, they're in everyone's minds, as opposed to if you're talking about something very niche, that there'll only be a small target audience for that. It's going to be a lot more of an uphill struggle. And think about positivity as well, because it's easy to get on the bandwagon and create videos about other people all day, every day, and almost make a brand off the back of that. By all means, you can talk about other situations, other individuals, and what they may have done. You can have a point in that. But what you don't want to do is get into that trap of like talking about negativity and, building your brand off the back of that, because negativity gets you nowhere. It's bad energy for everyone. And at the end of the day, how are you going to step away from that? Once you've established that type of content, you're going to get caught in that trap. I like to use what I call like the Earl Nightingale's 30-day challenge. So if you do want to get started, and if you are serious about this, you need to do this every single day for at least 30 days. That's going to require a lot of planning, a lot of attention to detail, and a lot of commitment as well. And the old saying goes, it takes 30 days to formulate a new habit. So your first starting period is absolutely critical to your success. And think of it like getting a plane off the ground. You're going to have to get off that runway, you have to accelerate. You're going to have to accelerate fast. Otherwise, the plane's not going to take off and you're going to be left on the ground. So 30 days, every day, you've got to be solely committed. And this does take time. You're not going to see results straight away, but consistency is key. Think about like emotions and visualization as well. And think about positive emotions and visualizing that success. Because we talked about imposter syndrome a little earlier. And ultimately that comes down to people not seeing themselves as a success. And the reality is, the world we live in, there's news which is just all BS, and there's so much negativity out there. It's quite easy to fall into that remit where you can't move forward, you can't strive towards having a better life and achieving your goals, because we're constantly told we can't, because of reasons X, Y, and Z. And that's why there's only a very small percentage, talking 5% of the population who are actually successful, that do actually achieve their goals. So visualize yourself doing these videos, making it in a way that you feel accomplished and positive on the back of completing them as well. Because again, this will help, your mindset. So when you're actually doing videos like so, you can already see yourself crossing the finish line. It does make a major impact. So you do need to do that. And again, you need to also tie in these like emotions to that success. So again, we talked about, hitting 500 subscribers by the end of the month. You got to think about how that's going to make you feel. It's going to make you feel accomplished, successful. It's going to build your confidence in terms of, I can speak things into existence. I'm capable of delivering my goals and the things that I speak. And don't be afraid to vocalize your goals and your dreams and your desires to the world. And the flip side to that is you just need to make sure you deflect any energy in that regard. Right, so next, it's about discipline, isn't it? So it's easy to have that initial motivation to start something new. Initially, you'll have that excitement, you'll have your new equipment, you'll have your first couple of followers and engagement, but you've got to think about what happens when you lose focus, you don't have energy, your video quality goes down, you've not spent enough time, you maybe had a bad day, you've overwhelmed with work and things like that. You have to be consistent across the board, and this is not just in content creation, this is across the board in business, especially relationships as well, and the rest, is out of your hands. Think about like a routine that's going to set your day up. I typically find like any technical task, get that boxed off early doors, and especially when you're fresh, just woken up, you've had a coffee, you've done all your training, your bits to get your day started, and then you can get straight in. Make time for things that are important. Do your planning, if you do script writing, researching, reviewing other channels, seeing what's on topic, what's on trend. Get that done early. So any difficult task that requires a lot of thought processing, get it done early and get it done fast. And then obviously allocate time, because it's, so many people say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to make this video, I'm going to do that video, I'm going to do this today, that tomorrow. But unless you specify a time within your day and you're consistent with it, it's not going to happen. Other things are going to come up, work, emails, staff, business meetings, and you're going to fall into that trap of never getting anything done. So create an action plan, break it down daily, allocate your time, and just get the job done. Always anticipate problems. That's life, that's business. You might have issues with your equipment, your videography, your production, and always think about contingencies. So for us, we've got several videographers, we've got editors. I know how to operate this in case of any, unforeseen circumstances. So in other words, make sure you allow yourself to be in a situation where you can't be denied. Whatever will come up, and things will come up. That's normal. That's business. Business is solving problems. And if you treat YouTube like a business or content creation like a business, it's exactly the same in that regard. So contingency planning for setbacks is absolutely crucial. Think about outsourcing as well. It does take time. You might have a job, you might have other commitments, family, a dog, a cat, things that will take you time. So things that you can outsource, so post-production, thumbnails, titles, don't be afraid to put your hand in your pocket and pull out a pound note, because ultimately time and money, you got to balance what's more important, what's more valuable. I'd much rather pay someone a few $100s a month to manage the videos, do the editing, all the keywords and all the back end programming and marketing, than do that myself, because I can make more money and do things in a more productive manner with that time. You got to think about it. If you're time rich and you'll make less money in that time frame to outsource the work, by all means do it yourself. But if you're on this positive trajectory and you're getting things done, you're busy, time is precious, and you've got that capital, you can make room for that cash, put it where it needs to be, invest it into your business, or in this case, content creation. And again, once you start parting with money, you then start to think twice in terms of how you produce your work. And I can guarantee you, you'll put a lot more effort in once you're parting with cash. Parting with time's easy to, let fly by and slip. But again, people have a very interesting relationship with money. If you spent a few thousand on production equipment, an editor, and you've got time frames to send things across for editing, distribution, I guarantee you'll pay attention. You have to pay attention. Next. So the last point I want to talk about is burning the boats. So what I mean by this is, if you're going to commit yourself to a project, there's no going back. And again, like the burning boats analogy, what we mean by this is, once you've set sail, you've landed on given country, burn your boats so you can't then get back on the sea and trail back. If you set up contingencies or backup plans, you're not going to have that winner's mentality and mindset. You have to go all in. It's all or nothing. You've got to roll the dice. 50k on black, 50k on red. There's no looking back. And again, it creates that mindset of urgency, because humans are lazy, and we're lazy by nature. We don't like to do anything that's challenging, anything that puts us out of our comfort zone. The majority of people out there, they'd much rather sit and do nothing, and that's exactly what they do. And people are very risk averse as well. So you've got to be a risk taker, and especially in business as well. You can't be afraid to lose money, to make mistakes. It's all part of the journey. And again, when you publicly project your aspirations and goals, you've then got a commitment to your audience or your staff or your team to then deliver on that. And it just comes down to you. Can you be true to your word? No turning back. And again, these conditions make things critical in that regard. You've got to also remember as well, every day is a learning day. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. And then you also can't have the mindset of, I know it all, because this is a road to failure. You're heading for a car crash. You need to always explore and be open-minded and look for other professionals in the industry. Let's just talk about content creation. Try and network with communities that are in the space. They've got the time, they've got the experience, they've gone through the trials and tribulations, and look to see if they can mentor you, they can coach you, they can give you some insights in terms of what not to do, what to do, what to consider. And sometimes it's just a case of someone just telling you to keep on going, because in business, not all businesses will turn over a profit. Sometimes get 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. It really does depend. It's case by case. But as long as you've got that right guidance and that support, that absolutely will help. And as the old saying goes, if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, you have to go together. So build yourself a good team and make sure, you do look for support in terms of coaching, mentorship. Even online, you can find videos. In fact, even a video like this self, the team and myself have spent over 12 months researching the space, networking with different communities, getting an understanding of algorithms, what works, what doesn't work, and sharing that knowledge and that value so you don't have to make those mistakes as well. Right, that's a wrap for this video. So stay tuned and follow the journey. You'll get to see our new podcast, The Red Room, which is launching very soon. But before we hit that hurdle, we need to get our 500 subscribers. And I can absolutely guarantee you, follow along, you'll see that journey. And then in 30 days' time, we'll then talk about what we did behind the scenes to reach that target and what that next target will be. So again, if you found value in what we've discussed, if you've enjoyed the content so far, join the journey, subscribe, like, comment. It'll be interesting to see your thoughts. And even perhaps if you've started something like this, like a project, and then you've stopped halfway or early doors, I'm interested to know what that might be. So we'll check in tomorrow for the next video. And again, feel free to review and go back and explore like what we've talked about. Make notes. It's powerful to make notes, pin it down, put it on a wall, review it daily. And I look forward to seeing your success on the next one.